right, let's just take a look at this spreadsheet. Again, we are on the computer help button formatting spreadsheets file, and we are working on the formatting worksheet tab. And just looking at the information we see in column A, you can see it doesn't quite fit some of the words. It's kind of hidden. There's part of Indianapolis. Really the whole word Indianapolis, it truly is there. We see that up here in the formula bar. Same thing with the Minneapolis. When I click on that, appears that Minneapolis is not there, but it truly is, because we can see that up here in that formula bar. And then some of the names in this column, again, aren't fitting as well. So we want to widen these two columns. And just a review for that, if you've taken the Getting Started class already, basically what we do is we go up to the column letter that you're on, and we're going to go right to the line divider, and it'll be the line divider on the right that I'm changing for column A. And I'm just going to drag out a little bit, and then you can see that this fits just fine. So you can change the size of any of your columns just by widening them. You can shrink them a little bit. If I shrink it too much, then we chop off our text again. But you can manually just drag it in any direction, make it as wide and as small as you need to there. Another neat thing that you can do though is you can do a double click right on that line divider, and that will give you a best fit. So it finds the largest thing in that column, makes it fit, and then everything else will fit in there. So let's practice with column B. Again, you can widen it just by dragging the line divider on the right. You can shorten it, and then you can change the size with that double click. That gives you the best fit, and everything fits nicely in there. Now for these four columns, I would like to change these four columns at the same time so they are equal in size. And so what I'm going to do is highlight all four columns. I'll come up into the header here, just right where the column letter C is, and then I'm going to drag to highlight four columns. And then once the four columns are highlighted, I can change the column of one of those, just change the size of one of those columns, and all of the columns will be the same size. So I'm going to pick on column D here. I'll just go to that line divider, just make it a little bit bigger, and when I let go, all four are equal in size. Okay, let's practice highlighting that again. So if I want to highlight or to select columns, make sure you're about in the center when you're doing this, the selecting part, and then I'm going to drag across to highlight those four columns. And from here, I could drag. That would be fine. That would make it a little bit wider or smaller. And or also what I could do is do a double click, and it'll give me a best fit for every column that I have highlighted. Now, it may not necessarily be equal, but it will give you a best fit. All right, so let's go ahead and try another option. And I think for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and manually change each column so they're a little different. Okay, and I'm going to squish this one. Remember, when you have a column of numbers and you see these little pound signs in there, it just means that column's too small. We can't fit all of our numbers in there. So we're going to go to that line divider on the right and just do a double click. That would widen that up, is how you could do that. Anyway, I'm just going to squish it back in for a second. So I've got a variety of sizes here, and I just want a best fit on everything. And just a neat little shortcut for you is you can click on this button right here. This is called our Select All button. And when I click on it, it does highlight the whole document. And so I want to do a best fit for every column that I have selected. So I'm just going to point to the line divider on the right of any column, it doesn't matter which one, and do the double click for best fit, and then you'll see that all of my columns have a best fit, so we can see all of the information that's in there. Now sometimes the best fit for me can get a little squished, so I might still just override it a little bit and just maybe widen up four columns there at the same time. Just have a little bit of extra space in there. Everything doesn't have to be that squished together. Having some open space is good. You can also change your row height as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pick on row 1. I want that to be taller. So I'm just going to go right underneath row 1, and then I'll get that same line divider and just drag, and then that will change that row height. So you can make it really big, you can make it smaller, okay, and then you could also do a best fit doing that double click again right on that line divider underneath row 1, and then that should make it fit. Let's try it again. Double click. There we go. If you look closely at row 3, notice how row 3 is a little bit smaller, which is fine for spacing. But if I want to, I could go right on that line divider and do a double click and make that a best fit so I get a full row. Let's say rows 5, 6, 7, 8, I want these rows to be a little bit taller just for that extra white space. So I can highlight all 4 of the rows, and then I'll change the size of those rows all at the same time. So again, picking on a line divider underneath any row, I'm just picking on row 6 here, and I'm going to just drag down a little bit, and when I let go, all 4 of those rows that I had picked and selected then have that taller height. And again, you can do the best fit too. So you might highlight each row, okay, get right on that line divider underneath, under any row, doesn't matter which one, double click, and it gives you best fits for each of those rows as well. All right, so I think we are good here for all of the formatting of your rows and columns, just little shortcuts and stuff for you. So I think we're finished with this section. I'll just save our work as we go. Let's give that a quick save. And this looks like a good time for you just to practice that, just changing the size of your columns and your rows. And then we'll get into the font group here next. Actually, there's one other thing I'm just thinking of I want to show you too. Let's say that you accidentally squished a row all the way together, which can easily accidentally happen, and you'll notice that row 6 is gone. And what I want to do is bring it back. Okay, so I could come here and do a double click on that line divider for best fit, and it does come back. Otherwise, if that doesn't work, you could try to highlight the rows surrounding where the issue is, and then do a double click on the line dividers, and then it will give you best fit and make everything kind of come back, just in case you have any hidden rows in there that you're missing there. All right, let me just say that again. I'll have you practice changing your rows, changing your column sizes, and we'll meet back in a moment.